Hey everybody, John Foss. I am very excited to be talking with Isabel May. We're talking about the amazing show that's out right now. Everybody's talking about it, everybody's watching it, everybody's loving it. It's 1883. New episodes come out Saturdays on Paramount Plus. And I love this show, number one. I got into Yellowstone. I love this show. Tell us about 1883 for people who haven't seen it.
Yes, well, 1883 is the prequel to Yellowstone, technically, but I would say, and most people say, it is a standalone piece. It follows the original Duttons, James and Margaret Dutton, their daughter Elsa, and their son John, as they take the trek from Tennessee to Texas to hopefully Oregon is where they want to end up. But if you watch Yellowstone, you know where they end up, which is Montana. So it's about how they get there.
Absolutely. And that opening scene is badass. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty badass too. It's well, I can't really say too much about it because obviously it's a little bit up in the air about how we get to that place and what happens, you know, to get them to that place or her to that place. It's obviously very violent and, what happens next is kind of the big question. So, I can't talk too much about it because I want it to be a surprise.
Absolutely. And the one thing that stands out in this show, apart from the fact that it's a great show, is the cast. I mean, there's kind of a who's who of people in the show who are huge names and some of the top of the best of the best as far as acting goes. Tell us about the cast and what was it like to work with such an amazing cast?
Oh, well, first of all, they're all just really lovely people, which is more important, to me at least. But then, yes, they're incredibly talented. You have Sam Elliott, you have Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Tom Hanks did a cameo. I met him briefly, but he's Tom Hanks. He's pretty awesome, at least. Billy Bob Thornton,
Yep.
A lovely guy. It was just, and then just maybe people that you haven't heard of yet, but you certainly will know about after this show is done because they're truly incredibly talented. It's remarkable. I can't believe I'm a piece of it.
You're probably too young for this, but back in the day, a big game that a lot of people played was called Oregon Trail. It was kind of before video games became a thing. Have you heard comparisons of this show to Oregon Trail?
Yes, I've heard comparison to that, and then something called Red Redemption.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't played that, but I think that's a new game, right?
It's like there's a bunch of video games apparently that everyone's comparing to the show, and they feel like they're having like childhood, nostalgia.
Have you gone back to play Oregon Trail to see what it's all about?
No. I read books and try to pay as little attention to computers and TVs and whatnot, that's the irony of being an actor, as I can. So I probably will not try to check out what Oregon Trail is, but it seems cool, and I hope that everyone else goes back and plays it because of the show.
How'd you get involved in this show, and what's it like to be the leading woman of such a successful show?
Well, I certainly don't consider myself the leading woman. I'm just a cog in the machine, in the beautiful machine. And I got involved. I auditioned for a different project for Taylor, and I don't know why, but for some reason, upon meeting him, something sparked in his brain, and Elsa Dutton came to life. And he called 2 weeks later and said, "I want you to be Elsa Dutton in this project. I haven't written it yet, but just trust me." And I trusted him pretty much immediately. And I mean, he's Taylor Sheridan. He's a brilliant writer and a brilliant individual just in general. So it was a pleasure to work with him, to say the least.
Absolutely. And you're doing an amazing job in the show, so great job there. And you mentioned that as an actor, you don't even really watch TV or movies, which is is interesting. What do you talked about reading? What do you like to do in your free time? And what kind of material do you like to read? What kind of books? Specific
Oh, I'm
authors?
reading.
Like, what do you do in your free time?
I do love I love movies, but I love old movies, and I just rewatch them over and over again. But I'm reading a book called Travels to Charlie: The Search for America. It's a John Steinbeck novel. I read a lot of essays. I'm basically an 80 or 70-year-old woman in the body of a 21-year-old. I've been away for quite some time. You will never get me to go to a party or just venture out and enjoy the nightlife. Not my cup of tea. So I like, I read all kinds of books, sci-fi, nonfiction, historical works. Yeah, the 89-year-old in a 21-year-old body, it's very accurate. That's
That's
the
awesome.
best description of
What's
myself that I have.
what's your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, Being There by Hal Ashby.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
hands
cool.
down. I think it's
Favorite
a
book of all time?
favorite book of all time. Oh, that's really, really hard. I mean, Catcher in the Rye, I know it's so typical and it's exactly what you would expect someone to say, but that was the first book that I read that I thought, wow, this writing thing is legit. I mean, can really pull at your heartstrings. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's the one that really opened my eyes up.
Do you, since you have an interest in writing and an appreciation for it, would you see yourself being a writer for TV, film, or novels in the future?
Maybe one day. I hope so. I'm going to try it because life is short and you should try to do things that maybe make you uncomfortable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I'm gifted or anything at that. So I'd like to do it and fail and just say I did it.
Well, hey, you're definitely not failing at 1883. Great job. It's been really fun to watch. Can't wait to see what's next. Twin Cities, make sure you check it out. Isabel May in 1883. New episodes Saturdays on Paramount Plus. Thanks so much, Isabel. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.